for it. Right. Ooh. I'm not used to getting up out of this thing. Anyway. Okay, so hello and welcome. Today we're going to be sharing stories, memories and a few laughs from the Outlander journey over the years. And I'm Lorraine from Clan Pictures, and joining me today are some of the wonderful ladies from the Inverness Outlanders. So let's start at the beginning. First of all, when did you all come together and form the Inverness Outlanders?
It would have been when the series got announced in 2013. The series was announced, and we were, well, a lot of us were fans already from the books beforehand, but it wasn't until the series got announced that we all came together online, and obviously Sam was on Twitter and Diana was quite active on Twitter, so when you tweet them, they'd often react with you. So we then discovered, there's other people in Inverness also that like Inverness Outlanders. So it was the first time meeting strangers online, just saying, okay, we meet up in the coffee shop, and it was the first time when we had heard beforehand, you'd never just turn up to meet strangers. So we all start meeting online. So that was back in 2013, before when the series got announced, and that's when we formed we started to talk about the Inverness Outlanders back then.
Right. So had you all read the books by then?
Yeah, we'd all read the books before. So it was always, for me, it was every into history, and every castle or everything you go to, and Outlander had put cemented the date in your head, so you knew what the place looked like because you've read the books, you've lived in that, well, you felt you've lived in that land in the 1700s. So for me, it was like whenever when you went to see a castle and said, okay, this happened in 17, I was like, okay, I know who was living here, what the people were like, what was happening. If they talked about the 1300s, I was like, I have no idea. I didn't live then. I only lived in the 1700s. And for me, that's where it made that I could cement the date in my head, and I knew exactly what happened in them dates. So I'd always have that love of Outlander from them.
So what was it about these stories that captured your imaginations?
Probably the friendships and everything in the characters and how they developed relationships.
Would you all say that?
Great saga, and it spans centuries and history and places, so it just makes for an amazing read, and then everything around that happened.
So, do you remember the very first moment when you found out they were going to film?
When they were going to film Outlander?
Yes. What did you think? Were you sort of excited? Was it
very excited? Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened? To be honest, if Annie has followed the online before 2013, before they actually announced it, there was lots of talk about it back then, who was going to be the Claire, and there was a lot of people putting their photographs of their ideal Claire or their ideal Jamie, and people were putting different people. So back before it was being filmed, there was a lot of talk about who would you see as Jamie, who would you see as Claire, if this ever came about. So and it was we always wondered, would it ever, your favourite book, would it ever become a TV series? So that was always in the back of your mind, whether it would become a TV series. So in 2013, when it got announced that it was becoming a TV series, we were all like, oh my God, this is becoming our favourite books, it's now becoming a TV series. So then and that's when we started to form the friendships and started to, there's other people that are as mad into Outlander as me, and that love these books as much as I did. So that's when we started.
Yeah. So what was it like seeing this world of the books come to life?
Very cool. Very cool. It was nice to be there at the beginning. All the fans at the beginning were all so passionate. We all felt like we've met even on Twitter, you felt like you met your best friend, even though you're only having a quick conversations. It was big on Twitter at the time, and you felt like you suddenly started making friends online, and people that were your people. They had read the books. They knew they were as passionate as you are about a book series. So to see it coming to life, it was just amazing. But we also had, because we lived in the UK, we didn't have it in the UK, so we then had to find other ways of trying to watch it, which also formed us all into these little groups online where and people in America would download it, and we'd be able to download it because we weren't able to watch it for the first 6 months when it came out. So that was also frustrating. But there was big campaigns on Twitter back then where we had UK Needs Outlander, and we all hashtag UK Needs Outlander, and we said, okay, at 2:00 tonight we're all going to go online and start hashtagging UK Needs Outlander and start blasting them with, to Sony and to thing. We were so frustrated because the UK didn't have Outlander for that sort of 6 months. So, well, also that was kind of fun. It brought everybody together. We all had a campaign. We all had a reason to fight for Outlander because we wanted it in this country.
And it trended as well.
And it trended, yes. Yeah.
And what's amazing is 2 years later, we did it for France.
Yeah.
I remember 2015, because we still didn't have it. And so we organized that same campaign, and we had the help of everyone.
Everyone
was ready. And I think we then went to Sony France, and they were amazed at how much tweets it had generated. It was all this friendship, all these groups working together. So yeah, that was
the
amazing.
friendships that formed with like America, Canada, Brazil, Australia, everybody coming together for the one cause. And we were all like, okay, we're going to fight for this, we're going to fight for this, and it just, the friendships that formed in it was even better than seeing, and as you said, somebody in America then was getting it to download it. We'll help you so you can see it, So we were like piggybacking off somebody else so we could manage to watch it. And for them for 6 months, because Outlander season 1 was broken into two different sections, was part 1 and part 2. So we got the full series dropped at part 2 after the election was held.
I think we had there was a code word for that. We were all going Stephen Bonnet.
So something that really interests me is how on earth did you find out where they were filming, and whose idea was it to take them baked goods? What were these baked goods?
So, well, that goes back. So obviously we knew they were filming here because the announcement had gone out to see what they wanted extras filming in the Highland Folk Museum. So we knew they were filming here. Some other, as I said, we formed all these groups, and Outlanders UK was the big group in the UK that so we had groups, and then there was ones in Glasgow. So a lot of the ones in Glasgow had been, even before that, we'd met in because they filmed here in 2014 in the April. In the January, we had Sam Hugan in 2014 to Inverness. He had a small little independent film called Emulsion, and we asked him would he come with this film to Inverness, to Edencourt, to present this small independent film. So that was the first time all the fans actually met up with all the UK fans, and fans came in from all over in that January. So we had met these fans, and they had said, they've been to Duncastle and they'd seen the shinty scenes being filmed. A couple of them had sat and they'd watched the shinty scenes being filmed, and I was like, that sounds really cool. And they said everybody was, because nobody knew about Outlander, so there wasn't hundreds of fans turning up, it was only 3 or 4, and they said security were so nice and so lovely to them. So they said, when they start coming up here, when they're filming up here, do you fancy coming? So we're like, it was on a Wednesday. Yeah, let's get filmed this week. We were off that week. So it says, let's go. And they said, they're bringing treats for the security guards. So they were bringing like packets of sweets and stuff like that. They'd bring the security guards, or they'd bring them something to make it, just sweeten them up. So they'd let them stay watching them being filmed. So it says, right. So one of the girls who was in the Inverness Outlanders, she was mad into baking. and she was making, she only made gluten-free stuff, but we didn't realise at the time that Katrina only ate gluten-free, so that was a pure coincidence. So I went to collect her and literally my back boot was full of these trays and trays of cakes. And I was like, well, we better find somebody for all of these cakes. So anyway, we turned up to Newtonmore, drove up, and of course they were clearing up the set here. And we were like, oh, are they filming? And said, oh no, they're not filming here today. And we were like, oh, what do we do now? We've got all these cakes. What we're going to do? And they said here, oh, it says if you go back to Aviemore, they're filming in Aviemore. So we says, all right. So we go back in the car and we drove to Aviemore, and we went to the McDonald Resort, and all the vans were there and security was there. So of course we went up to security and we said, oh, where are they filming? And we'll give them some treats, and they were like, oh no. I said, oh, if you follow all these location signs, which we didn't know anything about location signs at the time. If you follow all these location signs, go out to the roundabout, which we did. So then we went out to the roundabout and followed all the location signs, which is telling you exactly where they were filming. We went all the way up and we've seen all the trucks and the vans were all there. And it was April, but it was one of them Aprils that was absolutely stunning. The sky was blue, the snow was on the mountains, and the cairngorms just looked amazing. So when we arrived up there, security were like, and security knew the other girls that had been there at the other places as well. They were like, oh, where did you find us? So we said, well, we brought all these cakes for the cast. So they're like, all right. So they said, well, they're having a really busy day, which we found out afterwards. It was the scene where Jamie asked Claire to marry her. So, and it was a really sunny day. So they were really busy they had to get the schedule done. So they said, can't see the cast coming around. So Meryl and Matt came around and we said, oh, can we give you the cake? So they were like, oh yeah, no problem. And they took her photographs and that. And then Claire came back for a quick change and she said, no, stop the car. So she got out and we weren't allowed to take photographs because there was top secret. All the costumes and everything were top secret. So we weren't allowed to take photographs, but she met us. So we'd already met Sam. We'd met Claire now. So we're like, fine. So we all went back, had something to eat and talked about this mad time that we had in the cairngorms. But what was the really funny thing after that was every interview that they did, they talked about these fans who came to the middle of nowhere in the middle of the Highlands that brought fake goods. So it was kind of, yeah, and we found out Katrina was delighted because it was all gluten-free and she ate gluten-free. So it was just one of them things that happened.
And you started a tradition because that's when the Outlandish bakers started.
Yes.
And I think I did the last delivery on the last week of filming in September 2024. So over the years, they were kind of expecting
a long tradition then.
We had Sam tweeting, where are my cookies? He kind of suddenly had to make peanut butter cookies and stuff like that. So it's
these continued it on with the Outlander bakers.
So I know it's amazing.
It was just a fun thing that we did. And as I said, as you know, within this fandom, people think that you're mad, and we sometimes think we're mad ourselves. But it's fun. It's fun. It's something we do for fun, and it's something we do, and and that's what we've always said. We've been doing it like since 2013. We've been meeting up with friends. And that has been the fun part, coming here today every year. This is our 10th year coming doing Outlander Day, and that has been such good fun. Just meeting everybody, seeing them kids out there today, with the beautiful clothes, and seeing everybody dressed up. It's just amazing. I just love it, absolutely love it.
So Diana Gabaldon, she's at the heart of all of this, isn't she? The wonderful world that she's created. And I know you've all shared some wonderful moments with her. So how many times have you all met her now?
Too many. Probably too many to count.
So lots and lots of times, and she's been really good to us. Like when we set up doing the Outlander map, Sony at the time, or whether it was Stars of Sony, got really protective about the Outlander word and using the Outlander word and how you could use it. And we were setting up this Inverness Outlander map. We're like, well, we don't want to be sued. We don't want to be sued for having these maps. But Sony Diana was like, we emailed her and she was emailed straight back away. Absolutely, you can use the Outlander word, and you want which quotes do you want to use? You have the total right to use the quotes. Diana has been so supportive from day one of any contact, where she is. I don't think there will be another author or famous person who gives as much to fans as Diana has. She is absolutely amazing what she does. And as just recently in October, we had contacted her about the West Highland Museum, which is the museum in Fort William. If any of you have ever been to it, it's an amazing Jacobite museum, like totally. But they're doing a big renovation, so they got in contact with us and said, "Oh, what can you do with? We can't. We don't have any money. We're not. The only thing we have is we have an online presence, and we have thing." I said, "We can help you that way." And they said, "Well, come and visit us." See, so we went to visit them, and we wrote a blog. We sent the blog to Diana and said, "Wow, that sounds amazing. I'd love to visit." So we said, "Well, let's work it out next time you're here." And that's the last time Diana was here in October. We collected Diana. We brought her to the museum. She was at the museum for the day. She had the experience of just seeing all the stuff that they have, experience all the stuff to help them promote, to highlight their need for the funds that they need to. That they've raised the lottery funding, so they need something like, I don't know how many million. They need a lot of million anyway.
6 million.
6 million, but they have a load of it from the lottery funding. But the lottery funding says that they have to raise so much themselves as well. So there's a deal there that. And it's helping with that. Like, it's helping history. It's helping here. This is a charity as well. Everybody comes here, gives money. It's all the things that you can do to help, keep history alive and keep things. So that's what we've been involved in helping.
So, meeting Diana, is there anything that really surprised you about her? Was there anything, about meeting her, any of the funniest stories, or
just down to earth? I would say. When we were traveling to Fort William, Inverness to Fort William is like an hour and a half or that. So there was all of us in the car. It was like a girl's day out. It was, at first we were like, oh my God, what's this going to be like, in the car for an hour and a half with Diana driving to Fort William. Because at the time as well, she hadn't really said, we're like, is she getting a driver? Are we driving her? Who's driving her? We didn't know that. And we didn't even know. We had a contingency that we would drive her. But, we were nervous about that because we're like, oh my God, an hour and a half in the car with Diana, what we're going to talk about. But we talked about
it. Was like non-stop talking. Wasn't it?
It was just a girl say out, talking about the cows, talking about this, talking about that.
It was snowing in Inverness when we left, so that was the start of the conversation. So. Like, very ordinary, totally easy to talk to, totally just lovely, and so supportive of everything. Yeah, 100%. I don't think we could follow or want a better, obviously we fell in love with the books, but I don't think we could have wanted a better, queen of the Outlander books as Diana Gabaldon. Yeah.
Well, she has an incredible imagination, doesn't she? And so, of course, all of this has led to Outlander Day here at the Highland Folk Museum. So, I think you briefly said already how Outlander Day sort of began, but did you ever imagine it would become this annual event? And
it started off because the curator at the time here invited the Inverness Outlanders to come for a visit. And we said there'd be lots more people that would love to come. And that's where Outlander Day started from. So, yeah. It started off from a pre-visit
to be Outlander Day.
Because we got asked to visit the Archive Centre in Inverness, which is run by High Life Highland as well. And then other places, the museum in Inverness wanted us to visit, and then here. So it sort of snowballed from there.
So he said we'd come visit. I was like, well, let's make a day of it. If we're coming to visit as in a group, let's make a day of it, and let's turn it into an Outlander Day, and at the first time I think we just had the wool walking, but that was enough. The first wool walking is one of the highlights of Outlander Day, to see the wool walking. And well, for our videos, it's just been phenomenal. Like, we've gone viral on a number of occasions because of the ladies walking. And well, one of the times we went viral was 33 million. A hit, what you call it, on one of our videos, which is crazy. I mean, that was with the ladies walking.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that was just me doing a video of it. Wasn't like anything special. It wasn't, and yet there's loads of other walking videos, but this one seems to just keep pulling people in, which is handy every Outlander day to use this. Outlander.
So, what do you hope that visitors take away from it, from your Outlander Day every year?
Fun and friendship. Fun and friendship. And one of the things people often say to us, oh, do you want the cast to be there, or maybe you could get Sam to be there. And it's not about that. Outlander Day has always been about friendships and about meeting, and and that's what Outlander Day has been about. It's about having fun, getting dressed up everybody dressed up here just looks amazing in the setting. Is just you can't ask for it. And seeing other people dressed up, it's just lovely. And then meeting all the friends.
So why do you think this is such a special place to hold the event?
It's one of the iconic locations. I think it's one of the recognizable locations. So people come here and they will be like, oh yeah, I've seen it, I can recognize it, I can walk into the footsteps of all the characters. And even if it's just one episode here, it's still, and it's a reconstruction of a township, so it's real history. So you have that in many of the Outlander locations where you can recognize it. It's also steeped in real history. So this one is great for that.
Yes.
I think it's one of those locations that are built for an event like that because it's quite, there's space, so you can put
and the
tents.
scene is already set.
Exactly.
Yes, that's a great way
yes.
to see the set.
They didn't have to dress up the sets that much, I think, on that one. So yeah, it's
That was
one of those-
episode 5, wasn't it? The Rent.
The Rent.
Yes, yes. Yeah, fascinating. So we've been talking about Outlander from the perspective of fans and the community, but Grant here has experienced it from a slightly different angle, haven't you?
As have a few of you.
Well,
Covered later on, yeah.
Yes. So you've appeared in the series yourself, haven't you?
Yeah,
So what was your most memorable day on set?
lots of days. I probably did about 50 or 60 days. I'll give you a couple. I was at Lallybroch, so at Midhope, and it's a small set, so maybe 4 or 5 extras, 4 or 5 background, which is quite good for us, yeah, because normally we get the rubbish coffee and the rubbish food. Usually it's cold. But because it's a small set, we got to eat and drink everything else that all the casts were getting. What I discovered there was, if you have a look, it's dressed, they've got the gardens and the herb gardens down the front, and then this will be season 2. And at the back, they've got all the sheds with like an ironmonger and some goats and some animals, and there's some barrels, and I'm moving the barrels. And what I very quickly discover is, don't move too many barrels, because when the director cuts and resets, I then have to move all the barrels back again. And they're not waiting for me, obviously. Yeah? So I very quickly learned to do only 1 or 2 barrels. But that was really nice. It's an iconic setting. I do tours and I take people there and they love it. It's instantly recognizable. And then probably another very funny one was when they were shooting Cullin. So we're at a place called Tuchhouse, and it's very cold, super cold. Yeah, I took extra gloves, paper. I've got them wrapped in my tops, my outfits to keep me warm. It's so cold. You've got hailstones coming down. It's probably below freezing. People are hiding in tents. We have the prop wood, which is real wood, but they've got gas fires underneath it. In between takes, they're turning the gas off. We're thinking, that's not very kind, so we're just throwing the prop wood on the fires to burn it. They got a bit upset about that. But we're like, we're going to keep warm, thanks. But no, it was so cold that after the rain had stopped, there was steam. I remember the steam coming off the horses' hides because it was so cold there. But great fun. And then at the end of that shoot, when I think all the bodies are lying down at Culloden after the battle, and you might have heard this already, but people are lying on mats to keep them warm. And as Claire is wandering through them in the dream sequence, suddenly, somebody starts farting, and then they all start giggling, and the director gets very mad. He's like, "What are you doing?" And then everybody else starts laughing and giggling. And final story on that same day is during the battle scene, as you're rushing forward and the camera's in front of you, and there's a group of extras next to the cast. And they do this a couple of times, and they stop and they reset, and the director comes over to an extra, and he's like, "You're having a really good time, aren't you?" And he's smiling, going, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "No, you're not. You're running into battle. You're going to die. We don't want to see you smiling." So lots of stories. And my very last one was at the Battle of Alamance. And I mean, fantastic. It's like you're talking about. It's the people that you meet and the friendships that you make, and what happens when through the first season I get to meet a group of guys and we start getting the outfits and doing fan meet and greets, and at the very end you get to learn interesting things. So at the very end, if you look at the gun captains who are firing the cannon, we get to spend a day learning how to fire a cannon. So super interesting stuff. Because I know also that you were in more recent seasons.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about that.
Well, I was in season 6 in Wilmington. So a thing you can see in season 6 is the post-COVID filming. So Wilmington has way less people in there compared to season 5 or 7. So I was 3 days on that. So when the print shop is attacked, and in the streets there. So that was quite fun. That was one of my, not the first experience as an extra, but one of the first, and especially on Outlander. So that was really, really great. And yeah, you have one fun thing from that. So you had the horses going around, and obviously horses poop everywhere. So they take that away, but they replace it by fake horse poop. And so you have to be really careful when you walk, because that's little rocks and they suddenly appear where you didn't think they would be one. So you have to be a bit careful with that. And then I was in Blood of My Blood in season 1, under the canva when they crowned the May Queen. So that was 2 days of filming. One of my friends was one of the dancers. So if you are a dancer, you get rehearsal days. Same thing if you're on the battlefield as a woman. William and Jane in season 7. I remember getting the casting call, and that was supposed to be, we were filming in February at night, and I was thinking, I'm not doing that to myself. But you would have training days to learn how to wash clothes, like a British washing woman for the army. So just for that, it was really, really cool. So I didn't get to learn special skills, but on then season 2 of Blood of My Blood, that isn't out yet, I'll be a nurse after a big battle. And strangely, one of my patients survived, which wasn't a given, because we then, in the very last episode, are dancing together. So if you see an orange turban bobbing around, that's me. But yeah, it's really great to see how it works from the back.
Right.
So a lot of waiting.
Yes.
And very cool.
Yes.
It's amazing how much you can hide in a corset. Phones, heating pads,
Food snacks.
Chocolate is a bad idea, but yeah.
I often went between, so very cold, you go very cold and then to go somewhere very very hot. And it wasn't unknown for people to fall asleep, but fall asleep during the scene. Maybe there were, I think, some of the hospital scenes after the battle. Yeah, and so I think does Myrta burst, or Angus burst through the door, and I was tending to an injured soldier who was nominally injured and asleep, but he actually did fall asleep. So every time, I don't know if it was Myrta burst through the door, every time that door burst, it banged against his bed, and he jumped up, because he was so frightened by it. And then eventually they put me up in the rafters, and I'm injured up there for a later scene, and it's so warm and it's so nice, and normally it's not yet, it's very cold, and you're outside and you're wet and all the rest of it. And I fell asleep, and suddenly I wake up and it's dark, and they forgot me. And they left me up there. I mean, they were just taking away all the equipment. Last story of falling asleep was I was Tobias's double. So they'd had the director's rehearsal. Then they were setting up for it, and they need a body of about the same sort of size. And this is in 1950s, and when they're just about to move into their new house. Yeah, and he's, I think he's on the chaise longue behind the table, the desk. And so I'm there, and I have to recreate exactly the movements that he's done in the rehearsal. And eventually he sits down there, and I'm waiting. It takes a long time, yeah. So I'm waiting for somebody to come along to me, and I just fall asleep. Yeah, and the next thing, Tobias comes over and he's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm terribly sorry." He was super nice. Yeah, he was very nice. So lots of different places, cold, hot. But most of all, always saying yes, and the people around you. Yeah? We're talking about lots of waiting time. You'd be in sheds like this, maybe. To begin with, you sit at the back, and even though you put your hand up, you never get called, yeah? And it's a killer of time. So me and this group of guys, we always decided to go to the front, and whatever they said, we always put a hand up. And that was when some of the most interesting things happened, yeah? I went to watch a rehearsal. There was no other extras there. I was a redcoat at the time. Ooh. And suddenly the director turns around and he's like, we want you to say a line. What do you think of that? I was like, great, tell me the line. So I say the line. Later on I discover that they dub it with somebody who has a more English accent. But that's how it goes. But yeah, but mostly, like you were saying, the people that you meet, the fun that you have, and you start to recognize there's like a core group of people and of extras who go to this continually, day in and day out, and a lot of them become great friends.
So we've called today the Outlander Effect. So for each of you, what has been the real Outlander effect on your life?
Definitely friendship.
I have to say friendship. Friendships has to be the friends that you've met. That has to be and the people that you've met. Yeah, that's been the biggest change.
And for me personally, I didn't own a mobile phone before Outlander, so or online. So my whole technological thing is
Totally changed.
Totally changed. Yeah, because I met these guys. So, yeah.
Well, for me, all the friendships and meeting people I probably would have never met.
Moving over to Scotland.
And then I moved to Scotland partly because of Outlander. That's what gave me the nudge to do it, because I went back to uni to study heritage and then did my master's thesis on film tourism and Outlander. But I don't think I would have actually moved from France to Scotland if I didn't already have a support network here. I knew that coming here in 2016, I already knew you. Mm-hmm. So if there was an issue, I could hop in the train to Inverness. Exactly. So Outlander has massively changed my life. And I still work for Outlander, so it's strange to say that, but yeah, it has changed a lot.
Well, I think that's a good note to finish on, and I want to thank you all for sharing your stories and memories with us, and also a big thank you for keeping Outlander alive here in the Highlands. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
It's time for walking.
It is. It's time for walking. Thank you.
I'll see you around in Midhope. I worked in Midhope.
Yeah. So we might be, or I know Lorraine has mentioned.
Yeah, also chat. But yeah, if you take guided tours there.
Yeah. Because where are you actually in the building or front or
back? So usually at the back because you have some. So I'm usually welcoming visitors in the castle when I'm on rota, but all the new information boards.
I bumped into one of your colleagues then, is it? It's not Alan. No.
David
in his 40s, 40s? As I walked in, we've got all the information boards. And he's not younger than 40.
We don't have any young guys.
No, yeah, so